Hey everybody, welcome back to another in our series of Construction Accounting 101. I'm joined by Lisa Hutt today. Lisa, how's it going?
Good, Reed. How you doing?
Hey, I can't complain. I'm about an 8 out of a 10. So,
Good.
Well, today I think we're talking about change orders and reporting for change orders. So why don't we just dive right in?
Yeah. So basically, what I want to cover is when you have approved change orders, when you have unapproved change orders, when you have claims on a contract where you haven't quite got the final signature from the owner and or architect, you have a situation where you're not sure what to do for accounting because it's not formally signed off on. So there's a FASB accounting standard topic 606, revenue from contracts with customers, that we're going to be focusing on in order to properly account for these.
Awesome. So change order, depending on the status, depending on the state it's in, will determine whether or not you can account for that revenue, right?
Correct. So pretty straightforward. You know, if you have an approved change order, it's signed, everyone agrees, you recognize that as additional revenue, right? So everyone's agreed to it. It goes into your contract price, and those related costs are going to hit your job to date costs. Yeah. So those are pretty straightforward. What can get tricky is when you have unapproved change orders and or claims where the owner doesn't agree, you have something that is unforeseen that has happened. Weather comes into play a lot of the time because that's unforeseen. And what do? When the parties are not in agreement? So banks and sureties heavily scrutinize these unapproved change orders where they're not formally signed off for good reason, right? They don't want you recognizing revenue or inflating your financials without proper proof of your recognition on these.
Makes sense.
So basically, when you have an unapproved change order, you're going to recognize the costs on those change orders in the period those costs are incurred. Okay, so say you're still moving forward, you've decided as a contractor to still plow forward with getting the work done and taking that risk that I'm going to then be able to get that change order approved at the end of the day. Okay, if you go ahead and do that, you're going to still recognize those costs in the period that those costs are incurred. Okay, if it's not probable that you'll recover those through a change order, those additional costs, then the change order cannot be recognized. Okay, if it is probable that the change order will be approved, the contract price should only be adjusted to recognize an increase for those costs that you've incurred. You don't get to recognize profit on anything. So if you've incurred $50,000 in additional costs, you think you're going to make 10 grand through a change order and you have a $60,000 change order, you cannot recognize that $10,000 profit on the change order until it is formally signed.
Okay. So how does that affect documents when we're looking, at our financials and we're looking at our financial statements? How does that, how do change orders that, may or may not be agreed to on all parties, how does it affect what we're seeing at the end of the day?
Right. So in most accounting softwares, you have different states. You have approved, pending. You might have like a verbal approval. You can have different statuses on your change orders. So what a lot of companies do is they will show an original contract price. They'll show approved change orders, and then they're going to show a total, and they'll show pending. So I'll display my screen here to show you an example. Helps a little visually. Okay, so where you're going to have an original contract price, you're going to have approved change orders. You're going to have then the approved contract price. So it's going to be your revisions and your approved change orders. So revisions are when you move money around and it's not necessarily a change order, okay? Or you add to a contract line, for example, on this one. So this approved changes is adding up your approved change orders and any revisions you've done internally that are not necessarily going out to the owner. And then you've got your pending changes and a pending contract price. So this pending change column is going to be those unapproved change orders that you don't have quite signed yet. So they might have, on the surety side and bank side, they might only be recognizing, and you might only be displaying this column when you send over that revised contract price. Okay. So there's a WIP schedule that you usually send to banks and sureties. Usually you're going to use these approved changes as far as what you should show those banks and sureties. Okay. So at the end of the day, if you are in dispute, if you don't have something formally signed, you want to be extremely careful about how you analyze that. Sometimes you have a legal opinion you might need to obtain from a lawyer. You might have a confirmation that goes to the owner of the project that basically asks, them what they think the contract price is. So if you go through an audit, and your auditors are going to help you determine that proper recognition. And so your banks and sureties will have those, that good assurance that they have a good revenue recognition on their financial statements. So when you have disputes, you want to be proactive. You want to get in front of the owner and talk about it. It can be uncomfortable, sure, but you need to talk about it. It can make future changes to the project difficult if you don't get these resolved. So you want to make for sure you come to some sort of agreement as soon as possible, mostly before you do the work. You don't want to be on the hook and take that risk for incurring those costs until the owner has signed off. So some things to be proactive on, you want to obtain signatures on all your change orders. So in softwares, you can have a status here, right, of pending. And I can drill into this and see, okay, there's some notes on it. Why is this still pending? I need to still collect these. I can add this to my dashboard and make sure I have a notification sent. Hey, you still got 2 pending ones out. What's going on? They're old, right? I need to get an approval. So you want to make sure you put some automations in place with your software and keep on top of those pending change orders. Okay. Another thing you want to do is make sure you review your contracts and that there's nothing really onerous on you as a contractor. Like no matter what the weather does, you're a responsible contractor. That's not very fair. So you just want to make sure you review those contracts pretty heavily.
Makes sense. Frequent proactive communication goes a long way, especially early on. Not letting things spiral out of control, and then using your system to help you track change orders and track where they're at in the system. Makes sense.
Yep. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. You want to use the system to keep track of where you're at and keep on top of those pending change orders through automations and dashboards that you can utilize. So.
Awesome. Well, another reason why a dedicated or accounting system that is dedicated to construction or designed for construction makes a whole lot of sense for your business. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out in the comments of this video. As always, this is not financial advice. If you have specifics, please hire a CPA, review these things with a lawyer before proceeding. But Lisa, thanks so much for joining us today. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.